everybody. Good morning or good evening, wherever you are. I'd like to invite you in a few moments to watch just a very short video from an exhibition I had. It was a solo show this year locally at my Harrow Arts Centre, and the reason I thought it would be a good idea for you to see this is so that you see where I'm coming from. I'm actually always wearing two hats. I am a sculptor, a trained sculptor, a sculptor artist from probably a very young age, but also I'm a teacher. And I have tutored many, many, many young people from mainly from an A level age. I think I've taught in every single sixth form college in Harrow and the surrounding areas. I've taught children, and I'm still teaching today in-person classes, mainly now just for life drawing, because somebody coming in? There you go. Um, Mainly for life drawing. Life drawing is drawing the nude figure, which I believe is the origin of drawing. I think if you can draw a figure, you can draw anything. And I'll talk about how to get started with drawing in a moment. Um, so it's the tutoring as well as the time in my studio, and people often ask me, well, how do I do both? Well, I'm not sure, I just do. Anyway, without further ado, I'm going to share my screen, just invite you to watch this, and I can tell you something about it on the way. Let's hope it works. Bear with me. Okay, well, I'll try and get rid of the mark. So this was the exhibition called Circus, and for me, I called it Circus because circus of life, it represents life in terms of we all have our entrances and our exits. As Shakespeare said, every man plays his part. So this is a sort of jester. The jesters feature in my work significantly. It was a moment, a sudden moment that introduced me to the idea that jesters would represent life, the twist of the mouth, the happy, the sad, the reflective. Um, this is most of the work is wire. The large pieces are resin and hand painted, so I paint my work as well as have them cast. And the drawings are significant as well. These will be from the circus sort of theme. And again, another jester. This was actually based on my own daughter, who was always shouting at me, uh, Mum, you can hear her. Mum, come over here with a hand. But this is all modelled in clay and cast. The drawings, unfortunately, they're behind glass. You can see the reflections. But again, they're figures usually in waiting. A lot of my figures are just waiting for things to happen. And I think that reflects on our lives as well. Many of us are sort of for waiting for ideas, waiting for appointments, waiting for things. And there again, there's the jester being miserable, and another one running away and being totally frustrated. The large drawings, this one is part of Earth, Wind and Fire. They're about 6 foot, the drawings. And another jester hidden, maybe shy, maybe doesn't want to show himself, falling into a net, but the net is broken, as you can see, so the safety net is not there. This one is glass, and it's a little ladders featuring my work. We're all going up ladders. I just want to say something about this one, because a lot of my pieces have white faces, and the reason they have white faces is because they're made up. They have, it started when my father took me as a child to the circus, and I totally fell in love with the white-faced clown who played a trumpet and had sparkly clothes. And this white face comes into my work. It's got nothing to do with race. It's just to do with this stunning effect of the whiteness, and the red lipstick. And some people said it looks a bit like death. Well, it's not really. It's a reflective sort of quality that comes from inside me, and I just have to bring it out. So, more ladders that are broken and twisted and falling, and a little portrait of somebody. Very often, the portraits aren't of people that are real, they come from inside my head. I don't know where they come from, really. This was the circus used the poster as a little watercolor and maybe some ink, and then going on to a collage. I very often take bits and pieces of my work, collage them together, and a piece working with wire. If I don't have time or the cash to make stuff in clay, I work with wire. There's a cat caught up there. Another waiting life drawing, waiting in the wings, I call this one. Waiting to go on, or just simply sitting still. These two are Pip and Pocket, and they're two jesters that, again, they're significant appearance in my life as a result of a huge tragedy. And I didn't know how to start drawing or working again. And the jesters sort of, a jester literally drove by on a unicycle in New Zealand, of all places. And I suddenly felt this was an answer to my creativity, to the process, because life has to go on, and the show must go on, and we all have to just carry on, whatever happens to us, however great the tragedy is. In this case, it was my brother that was killed, so it took a long time to get back to work. But lots of things helped, and I'll talk about what helped. I'm sure Avni has got some questions to ask me about how I go about working. So these are little clay figures that have been fired. They're acrobats. Again, they're part of the series. And small is, your work doesn't have to be large to be monumental. Henry Moore said that. I'll just, yeah, I was going to stop that there. I'll show you how small they are in a minute. And then I went into working with glass a few years ago. I had a situation where I didn't know what to do next. You know, this is about tiny little figures, children's toys. These are children's toys. They're wrapped in silver wire, so they've been transformed, and this one is sort of rolling his arms around like crazy. But they're very tiny, they're very, very small. And this is the last one, taken directly from a life drawing couple in glass, Piero and Columbine, and working onto glass and having the glass fused. So there's a lot, that's the end actually. So there's a lot of different materials I work with. Right, so Avni, that's the end of the video.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Cheryl. Do you want to stop the sharing maybe? Could you please?
Oh yeah, stop sharing. There we are.
Amazing. Is it possible you can give me host rights? I'm just trying to the streaming isn't working correctly. But yeah, thank you for that. Um, love your video, absolutely love your video. And what I get from what you showed is there's so much variety in there. You've got sketches, you've got paintings, you've got sculptures, and it's absolutely wonderful, all different sizes. So where do you get your inspiration from?
Well, it depends, where you want to start. I mean, for the inspiration always starts for me with drawings. What I'd like to say is I've just found, actually, while I was waiting 10 o'clock to come on, a small sketchbook. I always keep a sketchbook with me. And for those of you that want to, don't know where to start or need inspiration, a small sketchbook is great. So look at this. These are, they don't mean anything to you. They hardly mean anything to me, but they're little drawings that I made in the dark while watching a performance of circus at Hammersmith. So I was interested. So you go to a theatre, you go to a play, if you have a little sketchbook or you're on a train. Look, I just found these now. I mean, what the heck? There's a guy on stilts. I've written down stilts and a bicycle. And these are all pieces that I could refer to and then draw on a larger scale. And then, if the idea is still strong, then I'll transfer it to a three-dimensional piece. I think the basis is um, to have an idea. For me, the idea is I have hundreds and hundreds of sketchbooks. In fact, my whole studio is awash. I constantly draw. Drawing is my language. I do write as well. I write poetry and, write stuff as it comes. Um, but very often, that's where the inspiration comes from. It could just come from a moment. Like the moment I saw this jester riding a unicycle, that I just knew that was the thing that was going to take me forward. Because on researching jesters and their place in history, I found quite often in medieval times in England, if a jester didn't make the king laugh, off with his head. So, so I, so I thought, well, yeah, this is a good starting point. Um, so really, it's very subjective, and also the small work. People often, especially today, everything's got to be big, big, big. Everybody's trying. It's always been like that, though. So tiny little pieces. Look, just handheld, so you can get little pieces of wax.
Mm,
Wax is good, and turn them into tiny tiny little sculptures. This one's got a hole in his eye. So they represent pieces that I could eventually, cash provided, make into large pieces. So that's where I get my inspiration from anything,
yeah.
even just walking out into the garden, ideas come.
Yeah, absolutely amazing. And you've got so much of it. You've done so much. Now, I remember you mentioning how your personal tragedies you've had. You've had some quite extreme lows and as well as highs. How did you overcome these and for you to keep going as well?
Well, I did have help. The biggest tragedy was just coming home one day and receiving a phone call to say that my brother had been killed. And that really, it was a road accident in Bermuda, and he was just about to open his business as an underwater. He was an underwater photographer at the time of his demise. He was one of the top 10 photographers worldwide, actually. So that was a big one. I had children at the time, but my partner did something quite amazing. He used to bring me flowers every single day to the bedroom, and the the whole of my bedroom was just like a Bowery, a wash. This is Roy, my husband now. And eventually I just felt, do you know, I've got to draw these. He gave me a sketchbook. He gave me a pencil. He just said, do you fancy drawing the flowers? So
Yeah.
I just started. And then it went into paint. And then I have all these paintings of flowers. Um, and I believe that actually he got the idea, I think it was from an artist called David Bomberg, and that happened to him. There was a tragedy, and the flowers brought him out. Um, so that started the journey,
Mm,
and then going to New Zealand to visit my sister and seeing the cyclists, the unicyclists, wearing the whole Jester outfit. And he was like, "Oh God, I don't know what I'm going to do today. I need money and I'm no good." And I said, "Well, you're on a unicycle." And we had this chat, and that sort of developed into, um, and then other things happened, you know, and then the glass came about because I was really, I hadn't made sculpture for 5 years. So it
mm,
was like a 5 year complete stop. I would draw every single day, and I taught all the time. I was still teaching, but I couldn't make sculpture. I couldn't pick it up. And then by chance, a friend took me to a glass class, and I said, I've got to do this. It was the translucency, the color, the just the change in texture and effect I fell in love with, and I've been in love with ever since. So that's how the glass came about. But it was 5 years dormant. But during that 5 years, I continued to teach and inspire many artists to draw. There's one or two of them probably on screen now that know that I um, insist on energy. You know,
yeah.
you can't just sit there and go, you know, you've got to really go for it. So I have various techniques to get them going.
Yeah. All right. So maybe just share some of these techniques that you use when you're teaching to help the students to get going.
Well, one of the main things, one of the main effects I feel to promote energy for me, and again, this is purely subjective, is drumming. I found Japanese drumming. I went to classes with Joji Hirota and learnt Japanese drum. The drumsticks are massive. I mean, they're not just little Western drums, they're huge drumsticks. So the actual beat, the drumming, is very different Japanese rhythm to Western. It's a heartbeat. And I studied and researched the Kodo drumming. One day I hope to go to Kodo Island. And I realized it's to do with your heartbeat.
Yeah.
And so I would put this drumming on and then get um, the students to work with sticks, and
Mm,
on the sticks they would have charcoal stuck on the end with sellotape. And we started with small sticks, and then eventually now I teach with I give out these long, huge, long bamboo sticks are good with paper on the floor,
yeah.
and then put the drumming on. You just and it's scribbling with just drawing out as we were doing in Vish's class. We were just working it out, and it relieves tension. But it doesn't just relieve tension; it gives you energy. So
Absolutely.
with the movement of the sticks and working with the other hand.
Mm,
So this somebody once, I think I mentioned, came to my class. They said they would have to give it up because they had something very seriously wrong with their right hand. And I said, no, don't give it up. Come and I'll show you how to draw with your other hand.
yeah.
And they did. They actually had cancer. and they drew with the other hand. And when they passed, the family couldn't believe the drawings that were. And what happens when you draw with your other hand? Probably a lot of you know this. You give yourself permission to make mistakes. You give yourself permission to get it wrong. It doesn't matter. The fact of the matter is you're doing something. You're
Mm.
putting something on paper or canvas or, either small or large. It doesn't matter, but you're actually um, being the creative process is starting, and that's how I ignite it. And sometimes I go into a life drawing workshop that I set up, and it's like I feel it flat. I can't explain it, but oh crikey, it's like, oh, the drawing. So if I put the music on and I get the drumming going, and they're, oh no, not the drumming. But it
Yeah,
really, it really ignites a spark. And so I would suggest that some people like very slow music and melodic and, um, very meditative music. That might help at some point in time, but I'm talking about the ignition, the key that sparks you off. That's what I'm talking about.
yeah. I love that. And that's absolutely huge, isn't it? And what I loved what you shared about the just it's okay to get things wrong. It's all about making the start. And that's I've done a life drawing class before where I've used the less dominant hand, and it becomes less about the result and more about the process.
Yes.
And I
In
think,
fact, and in
yeah,
fact, when I was teaching the A-level students, they used to come in droves to my class at the art centre. I don't teach A-level now. And they used to be sent for, and I was showing them how to do that, um, and also to prepare for foundation. It got to the point where I didn't want to promote a house style. I don't like doing that. But the actual tutors on foundation would say, "Oh, we know where you've been, because all your drawings are expressive, they're
yeah,
ocean, they're big, they're bold, they're scribbly, but they're still descriptive of what we want." So
yeah,
they weren't just pretty, secure figure drawings.
yeah,
They were bold and with ink and splashes and all over
yeah,
the place. And what the examiners were looking for, instead of just turning over the page, say, "Oh, this is good," they'll go, "Wow,
yeah.
okay, this is power." And so making mistakes, splashing around, scribbling, um, movement.
It's movement and it's expression.
Yes,
It's getting out whatever's in there onto that material. So Cheryl, we can speak for absolutely hours. I know that our conversations do go on, but we're kind of running low on time now, and everyone's loving you on the chat. Um, Fabulous work, Cheryl. Everyone's really enjoyed what you shared, your work. Such amazing expression of art from a brave heart. Love the drumming and drawing together, so powerful. That's from Vishali. Absolutely. Lots of takeaways there. Cheryl, we are running slightly over. Does anyone have any key questions they would like to ask Cheryl?
you're very welcome to join my live class online on a Monday. I have classes on Zoom every Monday with my Monday muses. They're mainly nude, male or female, sometimes together, but it's always an absolute treat. The models turn up from all over the world. My next one is from Brazil, Buenos. Um, you're very welcome just to contact me through Instagram or my email. I think
Amazing.
everything's been in the box at the end.
Okay, thank you. Yes, we've got all your contact details in the chat. Thank you so much. Cheryl, would you mind just giving me the host? That's
Yeah,
okay.
how do I do that? Drumming.
If you go to participants and then find my name, Avni Shah, and then just giving me the host that way.
Uh, okay.
Oops. Okay, wonderful. Is that
Yeah, I've just been asked for a playlist. So change host. Is that
uh,
right?
yes. So you got the three, yes. Make
I've just
me
been asked for the drumming playlist. I don't have a playlist, but if you go to Spotify, and I can write something in the chat box, um, for the Kodo drummers, or I think it's called the Burundi. I had it down. I've lost it now. Burundi drummers of the world, or worldwide Burundi. They're from East Africa. Um, that is superb. They are superb energy. If you don't start drawing with those, you'll never draw. Okay, I can put that in the chat. Okay, Avni, thank you.